You found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing the updates to Lonzo Ball's situation and our thoughts if Lonzo Ball will actually make a return back to basketball. We're going to talk about that. Plus, we're going to talk about and ask the question, has Coby White hurt his chances at Most Improved Player of the Year? And can the Bulls get a win tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks? We're going to get into all that and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze, and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. That being said, Pat, let's go ahead and get into it, man. Lonzo Ball. So it's been an interesting 24 hours when it comes to Lonzo Ball, a little over 24 hours. So Billy Donovan was interviewed, asked about Lonzo Ball. He said that the planned rehab, that they wanted Lonzo Ball to be sprinting by now, that he has not reached that. Kind of the same things that we've heard about Lonzo before, kind of trying to ramp him up. He's been doing some things, shooting the ball, doing some jogging, I believe, Billy Donovan said, but he's still behind basically where they want him to be at this point. And considering that it's now March, that means that he's basically 2 months behind where they expected him to be. Now, about 12 hours after that came out, Lonzo Ball, much like he did when Stephen A. Smith was talking, posted a video of him in an empty gym dunking the basketball. And that's pretty much it. No real words or anything said. I did see the video. It did look like the rim was lower than normal, but I'm not, it is. Lonzo Ball's a tall guy, so maybe
it was a side rim. It was a side rim.
That's definitely was a side rim, man. What do you make of all this new news and stuff with Lonzo Ball?
There will be a point that Lonzo can get back to, right? There will be a point in basketball where Lonzo will be able to move to a certain level, right? The fact that every time we try to start him up running, he can't do that. That is the problem that Lonzo Ball is dealing with. It's not that Lonzo Ball will never be able to dunk a basketball again. It's not that Lonzo Ball will never be able to will never be able to run on a court again. It's that, will he be able to do it to an NBA level? And that's the part that I have a ton of doubts on, right? That's what we've consistently talked about with Lonzo. And so for me, do I think that he can get back to a point where maybe he can be a functioning basketball player? Maybe, right? But do I feel like we're kind of heading towards another path of setback? You know what? We're not going to push it. We can't force him to do something that he's not ready to do. I do, and that's the part that sucks the most, right? Like that his career may be cut short by something that he has no control over. And I don't care how many dunking videos he posts. I don't care how many one-legged squat videos he posts, right? Like it doesn't seem like Lonzo is trending in the right direction, no matter how much Lonzo sits there and tries to do the I'm coming back, I'm going to be better than ever. It just doesn't feel like every time we get it feels like every time we get a report, it's not a positive one.
And I agree with that. And that's much like I said over on Central is that, I get it. He's going to post his videos and, dunking a ball and coming down on a rim, like you said, the side rim. That's one thing. Can you do it in NBA speed, right? Can you do that cutting? Like, you are an amazing defender, and a lot of that comes to moving laterally. And so it comes down still to this fact that me and you have been telling people. The surgery that Lonzo Ball had is not a surgery that's meant to get you back into high-level sports. It's a surgery that's meant to be able to say, hey, you can now go walk with your grandkids, because typically elderly people get that surgery. Now, Lonzo's still young. And like you said, there will be a point to where he can get back on the basketball court, but it's what level are you going to be able to perform? Because, technically right now, like, Michael Jordan could get on a basketball court.
Yeah, I mean,
so like.
Hey, listen, it probably cooked. Like, let's be real. He probably
listen,
still got it.
If nothing else, I guarantee you Michael can still shut somebody down defensively. I guarantee you still can. He got that old man at the Y game at very least. That and that turnaround jumper is probably elite right now.
Hey, the one thing I know about Michael is Michael gonna hit you with that what was that up in Space Jam? You throw the basketball to me. Well, let me show you something, and he do wanted to whack his dunks outside.
Yeah, that's
he can
funny.
still hit you with that mug right there.
So it just listen. I really wish that we weren't talking about. I wish that we were talking about like, hey, Lonzo's on schedule. He's probably set to make his appearance, like whatever it is. But it's just everything's still pointing to it's going to be a long, difficult road ahead of Lonzo Ball before he's able to come back. Now, the thing I'm going to throw to you on this, Pat, is the Bulls still have the option of filing the career-ending injury exception, which would clear Lonzo Ball's $20 million contract off the books, which could allow them to keep Drum. We talk a lot about how close they're going to be to the luxury tax. That could allow them to keep Drum. That could allow them to sign Patrick Williams and still have the rest of their cap to do other things with. At what point, if you're the Chicago Bulls front office, if Lonzo is not ready to go, do you say, hey, Lonzo, we love you. We got to take care of business. We got to file this career-ending injury. Because the thing that I looked at and said, I'm saying that a couple of weeks before the draft, because, you know, with the NBA draft happens before free agency, it takes about 20 to 30 days to get that exception filed because the NBA does have to apply an independent doctor to come and look at the medicals. They'll make that determination. But if he's not ready to go to the point where I feel confident that by training camp, he's going to be a full participant, I'm filing the career-ending injury exception about 2 weeks before the draft, so it's cleared before free agency. What do you say, Pat?
You should have been done it. We shouldn't be having this conversation right now. You should have. I mean, like, it feels so like I loved when Lonzo played. I loved watching him. I love the style of point guard it is. So it feels wrong to say because it feels like you're doing somebody dirty, but his body didn't agree with what the contract is. Right. That's really what it comes down to. And guess what? He's been paid very well over the last few years to give you zero production, to basically go out there and rehab. We shouldn't
still get paid. I know you know, but for the listeners, if you don't know, if they do file that exception, he still gets his full contract. It just comes off the books.
Yeah. So he's still getting all the money in all of this, right? Like, but it's something that you should have already done. Right. This isn't something that we should be in the last year of this thing, still waiting, maybe, hopefully. I like that to me speaks to the slow pace that AK is on right now. And listen, I've compared it to the Jamal Murray situation where, you know, you saw what Jamal was. You wanted to wait for Jamal to get back. Jamal came back, still was that guy. And you end up going and winning a championship. But this is a very different surgery than what Jamal Murray went through. And you can't count on he's going to hit I don't even think like the Jamal Murray, like there were setbacks in the whole Jamal Murray situation, but like it's an ACL. You knew, right? Okay, it's an ACL. This is a modern, this is modern medicine with this type of injury that people have come back from and run 2,000 yards in the NFL, have come back from and have had 10 plus year NBA careers since that. I think Russ's ACL tear was it might have legit been 10 years ago at this point.
Well, yeah, because remember him and Derrick Rose tore their ACLs within like 2 weeks of each other, right?
Yeah, so yeah, it's like over 10 years. Yeah. It's probably actually it's more than 10 years ago, I guess. Then so like you see guys who have come back from that's more of a logical viewpoint to have with Jamal Murray. And yes, the wait was a long time, but it's more of a logical viewpoint to have. It's a regular injury. This is not a regular injury. He's got another guy's knee in his knee. Like they took a dead dude's knee and was like, this is now your knee. We're going to return blood flow. We're going to fit. Here you go. Boom. Walk it out. Like that's not something you come back and play sports from. You gave the example of the hockey player that got it. Like he's the only other, and he never played again. He was just like, I'm walking again. So like this is it sucks that we have to have a conversation like this because AK shouldn't be putting Lonzo in this position at this point to where it's like, listen, we just keeping you around because we want you to be on an NBA team. And I guess, I don't know, maybe insurance and stuff. I would assume insurance and stuff is
insurance is paying 80% of his contract.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think ultimately, but that wouldn't have stopped. Like it's still, all that still applies. Like I get it. At this point, it feels like AK is putting the human element first, which okay, I can only knock you again so far, but at some point the business has to catch up to it. And right now you're potentially going into offseason where you're right up against the luxury tax to where you may not be able to add anything to the team. No, it's must add. You may have to lose pieces just by that nature. You got to take care of business at some point. And I would even say this, like, even if Lonzo is cleared, supposed on path to be cleared by training camp, which right now he isn't, you still have to ask yourself, is what Lonzo is going to be able to be, even if he can't get on the court, worth that? Or is it better for the Bulls to clear it, let him go find another team? Keep in mind, if the Bulls do use, let's say they file a career-ending injury exception and they sign somebody else with it, if he's able, I can't remember the number of games. There's like a number of games played if he does join another team. If he goes over that, you got to pay him. It's 1 year. You got to pay him, right? So I think at this point, the risk versus the reward on it is like, you've made sure Lonzo's taken care of. You've done your human element. Now make sure your team's taken care of.
100%. And listen, the one thing I will say about Lonzo, if he does come back, can't be worse than Javon Carter.
That's it. I think he can.
Wow.
I think he can.
Wow. But people make the shot when Lonzo passes out of a wide open layup, though.
That's true. That's very true. Very true. No dispute. Never beaten allegations. Next up, we're going to be talking about Coby White and ask the question if his recent plays maybe hurt his chances to win Most Improved Player of the Year. But before we get into that, I got to talk to you guys about one of our sponsors, and that is FanDuel. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. And looking at the bets right now on FanDuel, hey, Pat, how many points do you think the Chicago Bulls are giving up to the Milwaukee Bucks tonight?
I would say the Bucks are a 6.5 point favorite.
Only four, which is surprising. I would not expect that to be that close to be 100%.
I would take the over, boys.
I would take the over on that one.
Maybe not, because the Bulls and Bucks have been close games for the most part this season. 4 is actually not a bad number on that.
That is true. Well, hey, there you guys go. So if you do decide to bet on your team, which I'm hoping that since you listen to Locked On Bulls, the Bulls are your team, you can take that bet on the Chicago Bulls. But bet all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Just visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sports book partner of the NBA. Now FanDuel is telling people to shoot their shot. That's crazy.
Shoot your shot, dog. Sometimes you got to. What else they supposed to do?
Supposed to just be lonely time to shoot your shot. That's crazy, bro. Hey, listen, we out here, man.
You'll be lonely for the rest of your days, bro.
Yeah, I feel that.
Gotta shoot your shot, man.
So we talked about recently Coby White and his performance, bro. Over the last now 4 games, he's shooting like 22% from 3-point range. Between the fatigue, the minutes played, the way defenses have adjusted on him, he's not been the same Coby White that he was even towards the end of January. Middle of January, kind of started tailing off there about the end of January. Do you think that Coby White still has a chance to Most Improved Player of the Year?
I think he's still got a chance, but he's got to finish really strong. I mean, I think Tyrese Maxey is still the odds-on favorite, which feels wrong. It does, dog. Like, it still feels wrong to me because, like, Tyrese Maxey was really good, but like the one thing I guess that that's a tough one. It's gonna be tough one because coming out of the break, Maxey has absolutely like flipped a switch here. I think going into the break, he had like a 30-point game, and coming out of the break, he hasn't scored less than 25 yet. Assist numbers have been ridiculous. A couple of games there where the rebounding numbers really stood out to you as well. I know versus the Knicks, I think he had like a 35, 6 and 5 game. If we're putting him in Most Improved Player category, which I guess, right? Like, you look at the points per game last year, 20 points per game. This year he's up to 20, almost 26 points per game. 3-point percentage has gone the wrong direction. Shot percentage has gone the wrong direction, but rebounding and assists have both gone in the right way. Like, it's going to be really tough for Coby to catch up with that, because I think his overall percentage at the end of the season, if he doesn't get out of this slump soon, may come back down to earth to where you're talking about a guy who was on a path to averaging probably 20 plus to finish the year,
Yeah, he got up to 19.7. So
maybe ends up averaging about 17, 16 points per game. So while that is still an improvement from the Coby White that we saw last year, is that still as big of a jump?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's unfortunate, right? But I mean, we know the reasons why it happened, like the minutes. Right now, he's at 19.3 points per game. So that's come down, less than a point since from where he was 2 weeks ago. But your point is correct. He has to finish the season strong. And hopefully, now that we have started playing our 3-point shooter, let's see if that continues to go today. Maybe he spread the ball around a little bit more. Yeah, I know. Billy Donovan saw all that hype, that excitement. He's gotten a relish in it for 24 hours. And he's literally going to look at Ernulot Batim tomorrow or tonight before the game and say, "Hey, man, listen, we appreciate what you did. We need you to support your team from the just play."
Here's the tough part, though, right? Like, because even so, he's going through a little bit of a slump. But if you look at overall season, and you got to gauge it based on last season.
Yeah.
Tyrese Maxey is going from 20 points per game to 25 points per game. Coby is going from 10 points a game to 19. Assist numbers from 2.8 to 5.3. Right? Like there's still, like, I think there's still plenty of time for Coby to win this, but being where the Bulls are right now, people are going to be more focused on how Philly is still winning games and Tyrese Maxey is cooking while that's happening versus the Bulls, who are still in the same position. And you got a young guy who's kind of stepping up and picking up where Zach LaVine and a lot of the injured players who have gone out he's stepped up in those moments. So it's kind of just about the perception of it. I think Coby's still got a case for it, but I do think his chances are probably took a hit just to start.
Definitely. I mean, listen, we've seen players get themselves out of slumps before. Hopefully that can be Coby White, that he can work himself out while the Bulls also working themselves maybe out of a slump. But I mean, I don't want that to take away from how good Coby White has been this season, how much of a leap he has taken this season. And I do think that from what we've seen from Coby and the way that he puts in work in the offseason, he's going to figure out, hey, I can't keep letting defenses take the ball out of my hands like I did at the end of last season. We're going to see Coby White come firing on all cylinders next year regardless. So that's a good thing. And, if he doesn't win the award, cool. We still know that. We still understand the season that Coby White's had. He still had a great season for the Chicago Bulls. And we came into the season hoping that one of the young players was going to take a leap. And Coby White has been that player to take a leap. And I would assume it wasn't too far behind him either.
Is there any case, if Io had a tougher game last night, but if Io keeps going at the pace that he's on, the rest of the season, he's going to be in a starting role. Is there any case that could be made for maybe Io DeSumo getting in that race?
I think that he didn't have. We're already talking about Coby catching back up because of his slow start. Yeah. I don't think that Io's has enough leeway to do it long enough for him to kind of get in that conversation. I don't think so.
The other guys that right now are in the conversation, these are the top 5, right? And listen, the one that for some reason I don't know how he's. Am I doing this backwards? The negative is the favorite, right? Negative on gambling?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not doing this backwards.
No.
So these are the top.
It took me a while to learn that too.
Hey, bro, I be forgetting sometimes in my mind. I don't gamble. It is what it is. Tyrese Maxey right now is your favorite. Coby White is plus 850. Jalen Williams is plus 1450. Jonathan Kuminga plus 1700. Alperen Sengun is plus 1900 right now. He's dropped all the way to the bottom of that list. I would say, now I'm just talking about getting in the conversation. I don't know if he can win it at this point. He would have to go on a ridiculous run to win. He would have to go on a Tyrese Maxey run, what Tyrese is doing right now, to win it, right? But Jalen Williams, Jonathan Kuminga, I think that he might be able to get in the conversation there because
here's the thing that I'm going to say against that, bro. You still, as recently, doubted around Io DeSumo. I don't think the national media is going to get in on Io DeSumo. Somebody who watches the team every single day is still like, I'm not too sure about this Io DeSumo cat. So
I'm sure about who he is. I'm just not sure if that's why I asked if he does it at the pace that he's on. If he keeps going, I mean, after the Detroit game, he might be a little bit out of that, right? But he was on he could have got himself back to a 50, 40, 90 type of player if he has a good game versus Cleveland. If he keeps that, like, I like what Io's doing. I just question how long he can do it. But if he could do that, I think he could get in the conversation. But you're right. He said if somebody who watches the team every day feels like he's not going to win it, come on now.
The way you just danced around that, Manga.
Yeah, I tried. I tried to make it work. I tried to give Io some help on that one, dog.
He's never beaten it.
He's never beaten the allegations, bro. He's never beaten the allegations. Hey man, we got to before we get into this final topic where we got to talk about, can the Bulls go out there and get a win tonight? Oh, hold up. Before we get into this final topic, talking about, can the Bulls get a win tonight versus the Milwaukee Bucks at 9 p.m. my time, 10 p.m. Haize time? What's going on there? Speaking of time, though, ladies and gentlemen, it is demon time out here. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm talking about. No, get your minds out the gutters. Talking about Prize Picks. It's demon time on Prize Picks, where you can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. Demon and Goblins are the newest and most exciting way to play Prize Picks. Squares marked with red demons or green goblins get you different payouts. You can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. And it's really simple. I mean, you can submit your picks in less than 60 seconds. All you have to do is pick more than or less than on any projected stat that is out there. And Prize Picks offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select players, projections up to 25% to provide even more value. Prize Picks now offers Apple Pay for easy deposits and easy deposits into your account this basketball season. Listen. All I'm telling you to do right now, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the code LockedOnNBA for the first deposit match up to $100. That is prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA, and use the code LockedOnNBA for up to $100 deposit match. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
All right, Pat, last topic of the day. The Milwaukee Bucks are on the docket, man. Double overtime victory over the Cleveland Cavaliers. The question I'm going to throw to you on this one, Pat, the designer, is, can the Bulls do it again, this time against the Milwaukee Bucks? Can they get a win against one of the top teams in our conference and in our division?
Yeah, they can actually, because the Milwaukee Bucks have, yes, they've been playing a little bit better as of late, right? But they have struggled under Doc Rivers. The offensive rating has really gone into the tube for some reason. I have no source or anything. I haven't talked to anybody that covers the Bucks or anything on this, but I have to believe that somebody, either Dame or Giannis, and it wouldn't make sense for Dame, so probably Giannis, doesn't want to be the roller in a pick and roll because they just don't use it, bro. It would seem to be the most sensible play that you can run in basketball. And I'm not gonna lie to you, Doc Rivers, as bad as people think Glenn is, he's not stupid. He may be bad at certain things. He may got a 3-1 lead. Don't trust him, but he's not stupid. He had to walk in the room and go, hey, why are we not running pick and roll? I just want to know, why aren't we running pick and roll? It's not Giannis' fault. It's not Giannis' fault. You know what I mean? Like, he's had to suggest that at least once. And we haven't seen them run it. I mean, like, every now and then we see them run it, and it seemed like it would be the most deadly play. So I do think the Bucks are a very vulnerable team right now. They're coming off of a back-to-back on that as well. They play Charlotte the night before. And yeah, they dog walked Charlotte the first time. Charlotte had 26 points going into the half, bro.
That's crazy.
Charlotte had 26 points at halftime. Remember when we scored 39 twice?
Yeah.
Remember that? It was worse than that. like, and LaMelo Ball probably still was laughing on the bench. Like, I think that the Bucks are going to be coming off of 2 games that are very easy, and that's going to make them very vulnerable. And there still isn't this synergy with Giannis and Dame. There just isn't. And yeah, defensively, it's gotten better. It's gotten an entire bucket better. But they're literally scoring the basketball. Get this, Bulls fans. Worse than the Chicago Bulls right now. And the Bulls didn't score 100 points on the Pistons.
That's crazy. Here's what I'll say to this. I've learned to not go in when it comes to the Chicago Bulls with expectations of a win. I just don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Because whatever the worst thing that
I
can
don't
happen.
expect it. I'm just saying it's possible.
Yeah, for sure. The worst thing that can happen usually is what happens with the Chicago Bulls team. So with that said, I really want to pick the Bulls. I really do. But I can't do it. I listen. I know what the Bulls can do, and I know we're going to probably see Drum and Vooch. We're going to see some of that lineup out there, and we should in this type of game. We talked about it. This is the one game that I think me and you both were kind of like, yeah, this makes sense to play that lineup against this team.
Yeah.
And I think it may come down to how successful is that lineup against the Milwaukee Bucks and the shooting.
Now here's the only scary part, right? The Bulls seem to be the team that everybody figures things out against. If the Bucks do decide to run pick and roll, I think it's unstoppable. You have to make a decision on trying to step up one day, or dropping back on Giannis. The Bulls have literally two of the worst big men at pick and roll. Probably, I don't know percentage right, but I would argue probably in the NBA. They got to be two of the worst pick and roll defenders in the league, like Drum and Vooch. And the problem with that is, even if you decide to play off, right, and then you allow Damian Lillard to shoot the three. Even if you decide to play up, now you get Giannis being able to drive to the rim. Even if you bring somebody behind, right, like who say you got somebody covering Brook Lopez or Bobby Portis, you have them sag off so that they're trying to get the Giannis at the rim to contest, which is just going to end in a dunk. If Giannis kicks that out to a wide open Bobby Portis or Brook Lopez all day, those are the easiest shots they're going to see all season. And we already know we have a struggle rotating defensively. So I would say caution to the wind with the offense tonight, because you need to put up as many points as possible, because if any team looks at the scouting report and goes, yeah, we got Vucevic and Drummond tonight, common sense would tell you to run pick and roll all night. But we haven't seen the Bucks use a lot of common sense this season. So maybe the Bulls can pull it out.
You know what I mean? You're dropping logic there. They don't use a whole lot of common sense. That is very accurate description there. So I mean, it is a possibility. Like I said, the Bulls can win this game. They can be in this game, right? We know that they can. We've seen the Bulls. They can compete with anybody when they're actually focused and locked in. They can. It's just betting on the Chicago Bulls, like do things 2 games in a row well, is like, hey man, what are we going? What team's showing up tonight, right?
Yeah, I mean, but here's what sucks. Usually
the team.
The team does suck. But usually the teams that they decide to step up against are the teams like this. The teams at the top of the East.
This is true. This is very true.
The Bulls, I don't even know how can we say, like, the Bulls in theory play down to their competition, but how do you play down to your competition when you're down? I'm still trying to figure that out. Yeah. I'm trying to see Bulls Bucks this season. How, because the Bulls are what, 2-1
against the Bucks?
Is this our third game or our second game versus the Bucks?
I know I'm probably mixing in part of last season.
Okay, let's see. Here we go. Oh no, that went all the way back to 2015. Why would I want that stat? Why? Like, I hate when sites do that. Did you want this information from 2004? Why would I want that? So the Bucks beat the Bulls, their first meeting, 118-109 this season. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. 118-109 this season. Second meeting, Bulls won 120-113. Third meeting, Bucks won 133-129. If I'm not mistaken, overtime on that one, right?
Yes.
Bulls end up going to overtime on that one. So tying the season series for the Bulls would not surprise me.
Wouldn't either. Here's the thing. You know what? This is what I'll say with this game. Not that I have expectations for the Bulls to do anything in this game, but I will say that, like you said it, this is the type of game that the Bulls do show up in. This is the type of game that they surprise, and they all of a sudden they look like that team that can go on a playoff run that we're going to be stuck there looking like, where was this at the last 10 games, right? Yeah. I think I do think that for some reason, I'm going to have faith that assuming that Coby White gets back in rhythm this game as well. I think Coby gets back in rhythm. in this game, and hopefully he rides it out for the rest of the season. But I do think that this Vooch and Drum generate so many extra. It's such a conundrum with that lineup because it's so bad everywhere else, but those extra possessions just look so good, bro.
You just got to make shots off of them.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man.
Struggle, dog.
It's literally the Bulls do everything with that lineup well except score the basketball. It's such a weird thing.
Now, here is what's interesting with the Bulls versus Bucks matchup. Damian Lillard in his 5 games versus Ayo Dosunmu, and Ayo's been matched up with him on a lot of these games, and I would assume he ends up matched up on him probably in this game. I would think you wouldn't put him on Chris Middleton. I would think you'd put him on Damian Lillard. First game versus the Bulls, 22-10. Solid game. Played 40 minutes, went to overtime, hits the game winner. We all remember that, right? Actually, he did it twice in Portland, I want to say. Next game, 45-5. Put it on his head. Pause. Take that for what you will. Since he's been in Milwaukee, though, in 32 minutes, 12-3-5. In 43 minutes, 18-5-13. Nice game assisting. In 41 minutes, 14-4-9. Ayo's done a good job on Dame since he's been in Milwaukee. That may be a matchup to keep an eye on there if you want to focus in on anything. We didn't see Dame Lillard take over any of those games the way that we thought we might see. But if I believe every single one of those games was under Adrian Griffin. So does Doc Rivers make a difference here? Do you trust Glenn?
That's
nobody trusts Glenn, but
nobody trusts Glenn. Nobody trusts Glenn. We'll see, man. We'll see. It's going to be a fun game, man. That's what it boils down to. This is going to be a real fun game for the Bulls. Well, hopefully it is.
Or it won't. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how this season's going. Hey, Detroit should be a fun game. Oh, wow. Just bend over, take it. Hey, follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love.
You guys can follow me at CEO Haize. And thank you guys for tuning in to another week of Locked On Bulls. We are free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls, and we'll see you lovely and beautiful people next week, or maybe we may do a quick live after the Bucks game if it's a good game. If not, we'll see you guys on Monday.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.
I'm not promising that Bucks game. I don't know about it.
That's a late game, too. That's a
late game. I may be awake. I may not. It might get ugly.
You have more energy. You stop messing with those triple big backs.
I don't do triple, double. Doubles are seven. Somebody tweeted me and was like, what are triple big backs, and are they what I think they are?
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, I'm not answering that. You're going to have to Google that, my guy.
Yeah, you Google that?